Hi, Michael. Hi, Jane. Well, look where we are this morning. Standing at a spot called Barden's Lookout. And apart from the constant hum of traffic noise coming down Victoria Pass, which is that outcrop over there. Hi, Rhonda. Hi, Becky. So yes, that's Victoria Pass, and that's where the road that winds down from the mountains to the Hartley Valley comes down. Winds down through that range there, down to Hartley Valley, which is what we're looking at here. But I mainly started now because there's some amazing bird song right now, just every now and again. Right, I don't know what's going on in the car park, but we've got the Albury and Border Rescue Squad van has just pulled in, along with 3 other cars. I hope I haven't arrived in the middle of some kind of traumatic event here. It's a bit worrying, isn't it? Maybe I should move away from the edge. Hi, Gregory. In fact, there's some kind of tribute to something here as well. It's all very disconcerting. I'm a little concerned that something terrible has happened to somebody at this point. So I'm going to move away from this area, away from this point. Gosh, there's all these rescue cars here. What's going on? It's not me, I promise. I'm not doing anything. We're standing at a point called Barden's Lookout, and it's about a 10-minute walk to Mount York Lookout. So we'll move along from here in a moment. I don't want to be part of a news story. Who are all these people? Yeah, there's about 3 cars over there in the car park. VRA Rescue New South Wales. Maybe it's just an exercise. That bird song's amazing. So we're overlooking the Hartley Valley here, as I said. Yeah, I don't know what that bird is. I'm going to move away from the action. Let's start moving. Yeah, maybe it's just some kind of an exercise. Look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe they're just here to practice. They might be about to do some abseiling or something. Maybe we should stay and watch. What do you think? Do we have a vote? Should we stay and hang around and see what this is all about? There's a crowd here. Look at them all. I pulled in. I was the only car in the car park. Now all of a sudden we've got maybe just a meet-up. Yeah. Good morning. What's this all about?
Training. Vertical rescue training.
Oh, thank goodness.
No, not
saw all these guys turn up. I thought, oh my goodness, there's something going on around here.
Some ones on that side, and us ugly guys vistas. We've been running a 5-day course between Western Sydney and the Blue Mountains.
Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah, so
I'll get out of your hair then.
2 days to go.
Is there anything worth watching? Should I hang around and watch?
We won't drop anyone.
You won't drop it. Well, that's a relief.
We're not going to do a repeat of the videos we watched last night.
Oh, now you've got us intrigued.
Yeah, watch not starting. Yeah, look, it's always interesting to show people what other people have done wrong in the past.
Yeah, well, I was just down on the rock around the other side from the rail there, and there's some floral tributes, and I thought, oh, this is a bit disconcerting.
And unfortunately, there is a lot of those sort of things around
Yeah,
places like this.
yeah. Deliberate or accidental, it could be either, yeah.
Usually deliberate.
All right, guys. Enjoy your day. Oh, look, there's the victim.
There's the victim. At least he's bright orange and very, very not
easy
real
to find.
No, not real looking.
Not real looking.
Because usually when we throw these things over the side and people think it's a real person, they get really upset.
Yeah.
So it's pretty obvious he's not real.
Yeah.
So that's okay, but I have done it in the past where a dummy's been. We've made sure there was nobody near, and we've thrown a dummy over the side as someone walked around the corner and freaked out that somebody had jumped off the cliff. So
oh my goodness, yeah, that would be.
That everybody around knows what's happening.
Yeah, not real guys.
We're not throwing people.
Not throwing people over the cliff. All right, enjoy your day.
All right, thank you.
My American friends are all saying hello too, by the way.
Hello, American friends.
There you go. You got a hello. Let me just catch up with the chat. What did I miss? All right, we're going to carry on. That was the exciting bit. We saw the dummy. Okay, so let's take this path along here. Good morning to everyone who joined while I was chatting to the rescue guys. And it's just about to tick over start time, so let me find a nice tree to stand next to while I say good morning to everybody. Yeah, make it look not like a real human, Gregory. That's the trick. All right. Good morning, everyone. Sorry, that's my battery cable just tugging on the side of the phone. So, hi, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Mount York in the Blue Mountains. And I was really worried it was going to be raining. The rain's holding off, which is fabulous. So we're going to have a lovely walk this morning. That is a wattle bird that's greeting us from the top of the tree with that really weird sound in. Yeah, that one. That's a red wattle bird. All right, so before we begin, I'd just like to, as always, acknowledge that we're meeting today on the traditional lands of the Darug and Gundungura people and pay respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. Okay, so let's turn around and get our walk underway. As I said, we've got a 10-minute walk. That was the tree I was standing next to. Beautiful colouring, absolutely gorgeous colouring. And we have something like, let these guys walk past.
Sorry.
You go. Something like 800 different varieties of eucalyptus or gum trees as we know them in Australia. And this one's quite interesting as well. I think they call that a ribbon gum because of all the bark that's peeling away in large ribbons. Okay. Hi, Melg. Beautiful bark, yeah, it is. So where we're headed for right now is the point at which the celebrations took place following the successful crossing by the first Europeans of the Blue Mountains west of Sydney. So Mount York is around about 100 kilometres west of Sydney. Hi, Julie. And anyone else I missed while I was chatting to the rescue guys. If I missed you in the chat, good morning to you as well. And hi, Ramona. So Australia was first colonised in Port Jackson in Sydney Cove in 1788. Many still refer to that as an invasion, and so I won't get into that discussion right now, but it's one side of the argument. 1788, Captain Arthur Phillip landed in Sydney Cove. Within 12 years, by the time Lachlan Macquarie became governor, the colony was starving after a succession of droughts, insect plagues, and the impoverished local soil, and also supply ships that had gone down en route to Sydney. The actual colony was starving. So it was important to forge a path over the range. And there'd been many unsuccessful attempts. The mistakes that were being made was that the explorers' parties were trying to forge a path along creek beds or up through valleys until 1813, when Gregory Blaxland and Charles, sorry, I'm just distracted for a moment, Charles Lawson and William Wentworth. Blaxland, Wentworth and Lawson went up over the ridges instead of trying to find a way along through the valleys. And because the Blue Mountains is largely a plateau or a tableland, that turned out to be the best way to go. In fact, now the villages of the Blue Mountains literally follow the original path taken by the first three explorers. Let me just show you these gorgeous little flowers while we're standing here. They are very, very, very pretty. Good morning, Ronnie. Some native wildflowers that are just starting to come out. I wonder if that's in focus. Okay. Hi, Sylvia. So at various points along this path, we can just duck off the trail and look out over the Hartley Valley. And this is where the three explorers reached, the point that they reached, and realised that, yes, there is a great opportunity on the other side of the Blue Mountains, opening up pasture land and agricultural land for the colony. And when we don't have a string of cars following us along here, it's very peaceful. I want to show you this. Isn't this beautiful? Bark peeling away from the trunk of the eucalyptus tree, revealing very smooth, grey, almost white tree trunk. Here's a younger one. Did I say good morning, Sylvia? I don't recall. Good morning if I'd missed you. I don't know why it's all just green there, but it's amazing colour, isn't it? Look at that. Where did those birds go that we heard earlier? They seem to have finished for the morning. Right on cue. One pipes up. This is a variety of wattle, and wattle is blooming profusely all over Australia right now. Wattle, of course, is our national flower, and we've just celebrated Wattle Day. For those who marked the day, it's the first day of spring here in Australia. the 1st of September, because at this time of year is when more wattle is flowering than any other time. And it's believed that on any given day, somewhere in Australia, there will be a wattle in bloom somewhere. Wattle is possibly better known to people outside of Australia as an acacia. There's a camp spot over here, so we can see that there's someone camping. I don't know if these are part of the rescue operation, training operation that we were talking to the guys from a moment ago. Hi Andre, hi Michelle, hi Alison, hi Carolyn. Oh, I've just been walking through mud puddles, Julie. I think it's just the colour of the soil. It's actually quite damp. Look at this over here. I seem to have walked through the middle of another campground. Alrighty. So yes, there's a fire pit over here. It's more to do with the colour, I think, that's leading you to have the impression that it's dry. But in fact, we've had our rainiest first, it's 8 months now, isn't it? One of our rainiest years so far that I can recall. Our waterfalls are looking beautiful as a result. Not expecting to see any waterfalls today, though. I hope not. I was almost going to say, having said that, I think I can hear water, but it's probably just someone having a fire or something. I don't know. There is a sound of running water. Just while we're here, I just spotted a little pink flower that I thought I would show you. Because all the wildflowers are starting to come out. Oh, it might be the same one as I showed you just earlier. Let me see. Just hasn't come out properly. Hi, Cynthia. So, because the crossing was such an important event to the colony, a great deal was made of it. Not once, and not in one memorial, but quite a number of times. First memorial, and this one was erected on the centenary of the first successful crossing of the mountains, and it was a huge event. There were thousands of people collected here to celebrate. Should have posted this a little earlier in the story, but this is actually an artist's impression of the three explorers reaching Mount York. And this is not the only monument. For such a young country, I think they felt like they needed to celebrate every opportunity, every occasion, and make a big deal of it. So that plaque says, this pavilion was unveiled by Sir Gerald Strickland, Governor of New South Wales, on the 28th of May 1913. So that marks 100 years since the successful first crossing by Europeans, of course. I mean, it was no big deal to the local people, the Indigenous people. 100 years later, this plaque was added. So this plaque was placed to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the first recognised European crossing of the Blue Mountains by Gregory Blaxland, William Lawson and William Charles Wentworth. I think I called him Charles Lawson a moment ago. And their expedition party. The crossing of the Blue Mountains led to the foundation of the first inland settlement and subsequent access to the vast and fertile lands of Western New South Wales, ensuring the survival of the colony and bringing great wealth to Australia. Okay. And I do actually quite like that little illustration there. We have some lovely wildflowers just here. The Hardenbergia vine, which is our what we call native wisteria. Yes, Andre, it was very much so. There was something like, I think, 8 attempts to cross the Blue Mountains before the successful crossing of 1813. It's they're not dramatic peaks, but the escarpment is quite dramatic. So, gosh, there's a lot of people here. They must all be involved with this training. So once they found a way to scale that initial part of the escarpment from the Nepean River to the west of Sydney, find a gentle way to scale it, then they were right. Once they got on top of the ridge, they were basically just traversed the ridge from east to west. The many monuments and signs around Mount York have been accumulating for more than a century. They show how people's views about this place, the 1813 crossing and Cox's Road, have changed over time. Past celebrations and the works of artists and writers add to these different perspectives. So you can see here, these are the descriptions of all the different monuments. So we've got 1895, Eddie Rock, which we'll see in a little while. 1900, the obelisk, which we'll also see in a moment. In 1913, this is the photograph of the people, the crowd that gathered for that celebration. And then various other monuments and markers. So we'll wander around the site and have a look at some of those. And then this place also recognises some of the naturalists who have had input into or been influenced by this area. So including Charles Darwin. It says Darwin was first a geologist, but a 5-year round-the-world voyage on the Beagle inspired his revolutionary work in biology. While the Beagle was in Sydney in 1836, Darwin took the opportunity to hire a man and 2 horses for a tour to Bathurst. So that was less than 20 years. No, just over 20 years, sorry. My maths needs work. So before we go over there to the obelisk, I'll just take you around this side. This actually shows some of the attempts to cross the range. So we can see here in 1795, Everingham, that's to the north of here. The red one up here. So this is Windsor. They don't actually mark where we're standing right now, but at a guess, it's around about here where we're standing at the moment. So these are all the attempts that were made to cross the mountains, following the creek and hitting walls at every turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I count there, attempts to cross. These are the official crossings, of course. There were also escaped convicts that also attempted to cross or got lost in the bush, or outcomes unknown. So Evans was the surveyor, I think, from memory. Oh, my battery. Let's fix that right now. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Katie. Hi, Tricia. Hi, Sarah. So yes, I believe that Evans was the first to survey the road, the route. Here we go. Remarking of the first survey over the Blue Mountains. So in time for the bicentennial, the 200 years commemoration of the crossing, a lot of these marker points were restored. Oh, I've got a cold nose. And here, this actually explains how, by following the ridgeline instead of the valleys, the first successful explorers met with success. And if you wanted to take a postcard of this for your own reference later, you can zoom in on that. I'll get in a bit closer to the text for you if you're interested. I hope that's clear. And this here is the Nepean River, which marks the western edge of the flatlands of the valley. When we've done walks around Katoomba, that's at the southern edge of the plateau or the escarpment, and then Mount York is where we are here. And you can see the illustration of the cliffs and the escarpment on that image there. All right, I won't spend too much more time on these. There's lots of information boards around this area. Really highlights just how important getting across the Blue Mountains was. So then we have a rock. So this commemorates Australia's first Royal Mail coachman, James Wattsford. On April 6, 1832, James Wattsford pioneered the first official mail service between Parramatta, Penrith, Colletts Inn and Bathurst. Hi, Mary Lou. Why is my cord giving me so much trouble this morning? And then this one was actually a private family erected this one, I believe. So as I said, you can see there's memorials and monuments everywhere. This monument was erected to commemorate the crossing, who with convict labour reached this point on 28th of May 1813. I know this one was erected by the council. When was it erected? 1969. Okay, so this is the 1969 one. Monuments everywhere. Hi, Nicolette. Oh, careful where I step. Going backwards. Sorry. Okay, so now let's head towards Mount York Lookout itself. Hi, Fliss. Hi, Doris. Hi, Christine, and hi, Tiffany. Welcome, everybody. We've been very lucky. Last night when I looked at the weather forecast, it was forecasting 60% rain. Now that forecast has been pushed back to the afternoon, which is wonderful. Yes, exactly, Becky. Yep. Plenty of rescue people around wanting to practice. I don't want them to practice on me, though. I'd rather they didn't. All right, so for some reason this one's actually numbered. I don't remember seeing any other numbers anywhere, but this one is actually numbered as Blue Mountains Historical Society. So it says the three explorers knew they had crossed the mountains when they reached this point, named by Governor Macquarie when he crossed the mountains in 1815. And subsequently this arch was erected. And for some bizarre reason, a little seat was erected and embedded with pebbles that says, "The Explorer's Wishing Chair." Here we go. Look at that. I'm not sure what it says on the side here. Have a wish. There we go. Have a wish. I just find that odd. Anyway, I'm not sure why you need a seat here. Okay, so let's forge our way through the arch, under the arch, to the obelisk. Hi, Joan. Another throne. Oh, Tiffany, you keep finding me thrones. So, if the pavilion wasn't good enough, and the wall over the other side wasn't good enough, let's have an obelisk. All right, I'm guessing you're all going to want to have a vertical shot for this one, aren't you? Let's 1, 2, 3. Okay, and going back now in 1, 2, 3. Yeah, thanks, Fliss. So this one was erected in 1900 in commemoration of the first crossing of the Blue Mountains. Erected by public subscription. So I guess that means people that had a lot of money and felt we didn't have enough monuments at this point. So why not have another one? The first road over the Blue Mountains, laid out by surveyor Evans, who followed the explorer's track, was opened by Governor Macquarie in 1815. The descent begins 100 yards northeast of this memorial. So let's go 100 yards. And this is the valley that they encountered. This is the land that opened up to them on the other side once they reached this point. Here we have, I don't know what you call these, one of those orientation markers that points out all the landmarks. Try and get a look down onto that. Down for down, down for down. I can no longer see the screen, so I'm hoping that is in frame for you. And coming back now. Yeah, thankfully they did not bring an actual obelisk in Egypt. All right, so this is interesting. Visitors are requested not to injure this plate. So Sydney's in this direction here, which is back over that way. over that way is Sydney. And then what else have we got on here that we can see? Not Hartley Vale Village. We cannot really see much of this at this point other than to orientate you to anything you might know of. Jenolan Caves is over in that direction, that way. And what else have we got? Bathurst. Bathurst is basically in that direction over there. All right, let's continue onwards. So we're really starting to see the wildflowers coming out at this point. Well, the area immediately below us here, Fliss, is Hartley Valley, Hartley Vale. And anyone who came with me kangaroo spotting, Old Hartley Historic Village is down in that direction as well. We're standing at Mount York, we're standing at around about 1,060 metres above sea level. The actual height of the escarpment itself, though, Becky, I couldn't actually tell you. It's not a figure that I've come across in all my reading and researching. I know that's not very helpful. So we're going to head towards Eddy Rock. Yes, there's a lot of wild fire scarring around here, Andre. We'll see more in a moment. But here, this is the sort of thing that you're talking about. So there has been fire through this area. Yeah, absolutely. We call them bushfires here, but yes, absolutely. All right, let's walk down onto this lookout first of all. Occasionally they will do what they call prescribed hazard reduction burns. And that is in order to reduce the amount of ground litter, leaves and fallen branches, so that in the event of fire there's less fuel for the fire, so it doesn't rage quite as drastically. People get very upset when they have hazard reduction burns because it gets very smoky. I want to show you this little flower. It's really pretty and I have no idea what it is. Okay, I've got to be a little bit careful. It's quite uneven. This is beautiful. You really get to see the way that how unevenly and erratic nature is in its treatment of the land, isn't it? Erosion, water, rain, even the growth of trees, all has an impact. No, yeah, it definitely wasn't a very savage fire here at this point. I'm trying to find a way that I can mount a camera and drive, because I'd love to take you to some of the areas where you really do see quite savage remnant of the bushfires that we had a few years ago. There's some areas that just haven't regrown at all. They're just bare trunks and no regrowth. Hi, Ruth. And this is Eddy Rock. Again, kind of random. It's a rock. The Eddy Rock on this spot and address was presented by the residents of Mount Victoria E.M.G. Eddy, Chief Commissioner of Railways, 11th of the 1st, 1895. The Eddy Rock. So, speaking of rocks, I did a little bit of research on historical events that have happened on this day, and on this day in 1501, Michelangelo commenced his work on the statue of David. So there you are. There's a connection of sorts. And that's Hartley Valley. Isn't it beautiful? It's so peaceful right now. I'm trying to see if there's anything that I should zoom in on for you. I'm quite liking the zoomed out view. I guess we could zoom in there. Let's have a look. It's like a little lake or something. I bet you it's private property. Fliss, you've got to get yourself back here. Hopefully I'm helping. Hopefully I'm, these nostalgia moments are helpful. Let's continue on to the very bottom lookout. Oh, I'm sorry, Fliss, but maybe that's a way to connect as well. Actually, coming back and visiting the spots that you enjoyed together. Only you can answer that. I can't answer that for you. Yeah, I've been looking at what options are available for that sort of thing, Tiffany. I'd really like to do it. Driving around this area just gives a completely different perspective to what I'm able to show you. There's actually two, Becky. So there's another road to the north of here called the Bells Line of Road. And I'm actually going to Mount Tomah Botanical Garden, Blue Mountains Botanical Garden. When's that going to be? I think it's a week from Friday. And that is actually located on the other road that crosses. But it's a really hairy road. It's a lot more windy, single lane, not much in the way of residential areas along there. And yeah, I think it would be a logical place to improve the road and put the trucks through there, but a lot of people think that that's not a good idea. Anyway, so as you can see, I'm on the other side of the safety rail, but I have walked down here and checked out where I'm going. The only part that I had reservations about was just here. It would be really cool, Becky. So I had to be very careful at this point because, you know, there's always the chance that that's just loose leaves and you go crashing through at that point. But I have tested it and established. Whoops, there she goes. No, all good. And there's some old steps here. Hi, Joydell. Oh, I'm warming up now. I can unzip my jacket, take this scarf off. Okay. I'm not zoomed in at all. Who would have carved those steps? Well, with all the other monuments and everything around this area, could have been any one of the invested peoples from this area. All right, here we go. First of all, I'll look to my left here and show you all the lichen on the rocks here. And look at the colour of this one. And I've got a little gap that I can just squeeze my legs through at this point. Here we go. All sorts of interesting rock formations here. I'm going to go very slowly. You should still be able to take postcards if you'd like to. I think that is quintessentially Australian. Exactly this scene that I'm looking at right at this moment. That is as Australian as you get, in my opinion. Hi, Jane. Welcome. Let me guess. You've just left Sydney Harbour. Am I right? And Andre, I'll let you and Ava battle it out. I've got no idea. Maybe it's a mixture of the two. Yeah, thought you might have. Let's hope a few more of you come on from Alex's tour of Sydney Harbour. And I'll be there myself on the 22nd, hoping that he'll join me or that we can meet up afterwards or something. Our Prime Minister has declared that day a national day of mourning, so I'm not sure how I'm going to adapt my tour to reflect that, or whether I just carry on as I was planning. So, Jane, we're standing at Mount York. This is where the first explorers discovered that they had reached a point where they could successfully cross the Blue Mountains. Stood at this point and looked down over this valley here. Alrighty, we just hit the 40-minute mark, and my tour description says it's 40 minutes. So if you'd like to accompany me back to where my car is parked, you're more than welcome to. For anyone who joined later, one last shot at this rock here. Anyone who joined later, you missed all the excitement because when I first pulled into the car park, I was the only one there. And then all of a sudden about 15 cars came in. There we go, Ava and Andre. I don't know if that's of interest to you. 15 cars came into the car park, and they're all from rescue organisations doing some kind of a training exercise, showing me how they dress up their practice dummies to look especially non-human, so that people aren't alarmed when they throw it over the cliff. Anyway, they'll still be there when I get back to my car, so if you want to stay with me, it's about a 10-minute walk back to my car, and we can see where they are up to with their training exercise. Yes, Becky, it's mainly hobby farms down there now in this immediate vicinity. It's actually a low rainfall area. They're in the lee of the mountain range, and they're not on town water supply, so they have to collect their own water, and they don't get a lot. Here we go. Here's a burnt out stump of a tree. Hi, Francis. And I will continue to flick across to the views as we walk back to my car. I'm going to take this scarf off first. It's getting warm. Sorry, going up steps always puffs me out. So excuse my puffiness. Hi, Francis. Water. I thought we were the lazy ones with consonants. Oh, yeah, that's what you mean. Yeah, we are the lazy ones with consonants, aren't we? All right, here's another plaque that we missed on the way down. Yeah, it is. It's a great workout. I don't complain. I need these workouts. The first ride over the Blue Mountains from Emu Ford, which is basically where the crossing of the Nepean River was, to Bathurst. 101.5 miles was formed in 6 months by a working party of 28 men. And you can fairly safely assume that they weren't paid. They would have been convicts, and was completed in January 1815. The commission to execute the work was entrusted by Governor Macquarie to William Cox. There we go. So I'm assuming there's another plaque here. And this one's in commemoration of the life and work of Major General Lachlan Macquarie. Bit of controversy about old mate Macquarie. There's no argument that got a lot done for the colony. The question is at what expense, whether that be human cost, even financial cost. When we go down to Sydney to do the Sydney Harbour tour, I'm trying to see if there's a way that I can work into the tour seeing the Conservatorium of Music from the outside, which is an amazingly beautiful building, and started life as Lachlan Macquarie's stables. He built it as a stable. By the end of his governorship, there was a fair bit of controversy about just how much money he was spending. Look at all these people all getting geared up. Yeah, they're going to do something. Yes, Rhonda, the old hospital building is still there. And in the vicinity is also Government House, which is where the New South Wales Governor resides. And, of course, that was usually where Queen Elizabeth would have resided when she visited Sydney. So there's lots of connections that I'm trying to see if I can work in on the 22nd with relation to Queen Elizabeth and all of that as well. What are they doing? I don't know what these guys are doing. They may all be related or that might be separate, but there was in the car park just after I pulled up, there was around about, I'd have to say probably about 10 rescue vehicles pulled up. And I started to get all concerned. I thought there was something horrible happening. But then they're doing training exercises. This group down here, I don't know whether they're part of it or whether it's a separate, just sort of adventure thing, tour thing. So just up here is where's my car is parked. We'll see what they're up to. What was even more concerning is that just as I turned my camera on, turned my phone on or the tour on, I was standing at a point just outside the guardrail with a gorgeous rock and a gorgeous view. And I looked down and here's some kind of floral tribute. And I started to wonder whether this was somehow related to these guys being here. No, that surely you'd rescue someone before you put the flowers there. I don't know. Anyway, it was all a bit disconcerting. But we had a chat. We had a chat to one of the guys, and he was telling us what they were up to. And let's see where they're up to right now. So there's a couple of campsites along here. It's very busy. I came here a week or so ago to check the place out. There was no one here. We've got campers, got tents, got that thing. I can't imagine sleeping in that. So how's everyone else going? How are the recent events impacting on you personally? So what's it like sleeping up there, Andre? I think I would feel a little unsettled. Okay, let's get off the road and follow the path instead. Sad, yes. I confess I'm just, look, you know, it's historical, and I'm sort of coming in and out of the television coverage. I found I've been doing more, watching more Hago tours and less TV, because it's just a bombardment, isn't it? So, but I have been watching some of it, and the pageantry is just mind-boggling. Ah, yeah, that's a good point, Andre. I hadn't considered that. Although the lions can still jump up there, can't they? Or not? We used to have a place here in Sydney, in Western Sydney, many years ago. I think it closed down in about the 1980s, called the African Lion Safari Park. And you could drive through. And drive through slowly, and sometimes the lions would jump on your car. All right, almost there. Almost back at the car. In the meantime, as always, thanks for joining me this morning. I always appreciate the company. It's good to have someone to interact with while you walk too. Always. How far are you from the? Do you mean the Opera House, City Centre? Is that what you're asking me, Mel? They prefer bockies to humans. Yeah, well, there's that too. They're easier to catch, I suppose. You are welcome. Really enjoyed the walk. Yeah, you asked me a question. How far are you from the... I'm assuming you're asking me about the city centre, Sydney city centre. We're about 100 kilometres. at this point. And what else was asked of me? Thank you, Becky. You're welcome. All right, Nicolette, we're actually in what's a smaller area is the Blue Mountains Mount York Conservation Area, which is part of the Blue Mountains National Park. And the Blue Mountains National Park is part of the Greater Blue Mountains World Heritage Area, which is a UNESCO listed site. There's actually 7 parks that make up the UNESCO World Heritage Area. And all up now, I think I've got the numbers. I may have forgotten the numbers. Something like 10,000 square kilometres is the area that it covers. Yeah, I think Andre's talking about Springboks, yes? Is that right? Opera House, yep. And you're welcome, Nicolette. I love that you're taking so much of an interest on tours. I saw you on another earlier today where you're actually taking notes and taking notice of what's being said by the guide. All right, here we go. Here's a bit of action over here. Let's see what they're up to. We've got a bunch of guys over here roping themselves up. Not a lot of action at the moment. I'll zoom out because it's hard on you guys to walk while it's zoomed in. So it looks like they're going to abseil down over the edge there, practicing tying up and anchoring. Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How's it going?
Yeah, good. Yeah, we're all good.
It's good to know that the people that come and rescue you actually know what they're doing, isn't it? Oop. Oh, here's our patient. So apparently they're going to chuck him over and rescue him later. And there's the rescue. What do you call that? I don't know. Canister thing that they'll put him in. Oh, there's another practice dummy over there. Hi, back again. All right, everyone. I think I might finish off here. Thank you again for joining me. And tomorrow I will be a little later. Oh, no, wait. No, a lot earlier. Sorry, what am I talking about? I started at 8:15 this morning. Tomorrow morning I'm starting at 5:45 a.m. Lakeside, Wentworth Falls Lake. And we'll be catching the break of day. So I just want to show you the beautiful valley from here. I love the reflections of the clouds, or the shadows of the clouds on the valley below. Too early for you, Jane? It's too early for me too. But you know, I can't tell the sun when to get up. And let me turn around and turn the camera around so I can sign off. 40 minutes turned it into an hour. Isn't that my way always? There'll be others, Fliss. There'll always be others. On Friday I'm doing Echo Point, so maybe you can join me there. Thank you, Rhonda. I always appreciate all the support that everyone is able to give me. Very welcome. All right, I'm going to sign off and see you on another tour. Tomorrow we've got our car in for service, so I can't do anything tomorrow. Sorry, for Thursday. And let's leave you with one final view. Bye for now. See you again soon.